أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In our last episode, we described the exit of the Quraysh army outside the Mecca. So when the Quraysh gathered themselves, they were about 1,300 strong. And when they are about to leave, there is actually this unity amongst them. Now, some of them started ganging up and they're actually discussing, are we going to leave the city unprotected?
Are we going to leave the city unprotected?
Now the question is, why did the guy brought up the question? Does it mean that the Quraysh army of Mecca have an enemy at that time? And the answer is yes. Their potential enemy was a tribe called Banu Bakr. Now, what transpired between them in the past? The Quraysh and the Banu Bakr had started a small war between themselves. So once long ago, one of the Quraysh youth, who was a future leader of the Quraysh, wandered into the land of Banu Bakr. And Ibn Ishaq mentions that he was a tall and handsome man. And when the leader of Banu Bakr at the time saw this man, he felt jealous. So he told someone from their tribe to assassinate him.
Kill him.
But before this day, many years ago, there was a blood feud between these two tribes, where one member of the Quraysh had killed someone from the Banu Bakr. So the chief of Banu Bakr, as at this time, used that excuse and said, I am going to make up for that one that you killed from us a long time ago. So it justifies killing this handsome man that is jealous of, with the fact that someone has been killed in their own tribe once long ago. And when the Quraysh sent a representative and asked about the reason for the killing, the chieftain of Banu Bakr said, a man for a man. Remember that guy you killed long ago? I killed this young man for that young man. So let's call it a quit. So the Quraysh said, fine, we won't go to war, a man for a man. Though the Quraysh then agreed with the explanation, like an eye for an eye, no problem. However, this judgment wasn't okay to the brother of the handsome man that was killed by the chieftain of Banu Bakr.
My brother was murdered by the chieftain of Banu Bakr. I demand justice to equalize the score. The council has deliberated. It is not our place to intervene. Then I will go and kill him myself.
So the brother decided to go and kill the chieftain of Banu Bakr, the very man who ordered the assassination of his king. And the brother was successful. He cut up the chieftain in pieces in a gruesome fashion and brought the pieces back to Mecca and put them on the door of Kaaba. So the news spread that Quraysh had killed the chieftain of Banu Bakr, and this is now war. But before any war could take place, the message of Islam became stronger and stronger, and both tribes had to basically deal with the Muslims first. So they paused their animosity for a while. So the situation was now in limbo, that is, it is unresolved. Now back to the departure of the Quraysh. This was why a guy asked, are we going to leave the city unprotected? And now when the Quraysh is leaving Mecca for Badr, they are getting paranoid. Maybe now the Banu Bakr are going to come and attack them while Mecca is empty. They will take our women, kill our children, etc. So there was a huge commotion in the army, and as it is, generally, people don't want to go to war in the first place. We've explained how they are all dodging it. They want an excuse to go back. So a large segment of the army was about to return, but what happened? Shaytan became desperate. Iblis himself came down, physically came to them in form of Suraqa ibn Malik, the same person we discussed that was trying to capture the Prophet during the Hijrah. And note at this point in time, Suraqa isn't a Muslim yet. He will embrace Islam later, and that is 8 years after the Hijrah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Iblis chose to appear in the form of Suraqa because Suraqa was from Banu Kinana, and Banu Kinana is a larger tribe than the Banu Bakr, just like Quraysh is larger than the tribe of Banu Hashim. That is, Banu Kinana rivals the Quraysh, and Banu Bakr is one of the tribes of Banu Kinana. So this
I have heard
Suraqa
your
is like
fear.
a chief of Banu Kinana.
I give
that
you
is
my word,
superior
Banu Bakr
to
will
Banu
not
Bakr.
attack Mecca.
So and Suraqa was a chieftain
And I
of
will
another
march with you
tribe.
to Badr.
So they hold him in high esteem. That if he says nobody's going to attack them, he can actually control the Banu Bakr because they are larger than them. So Iblis comes in his form and says,
I have heard your fear. I give you my word, Banu Bakr will not attack Mecca. And I will march with you to Badr.
don't worry. I have heard of your fear, and I will make sure that Banu Bakr won't attack you. And I will be your protector. You can count on my word. And of course, Shaytan never spoke the truth. This is all a lie. And he even said, I will accompany you as well to the war and fight alongside you, so that you know that I am serious. So Quraysh were so happy that one of the chieftains of Banu Kinana was coming and promised them this. But as we all know later, when Shaytan saw the angels coming down on the morning of Badr, it turned around and started running away. And the Quraysh were like, Suraqa, why are you running away? Because the Quraysh could not see the angels, they are mere men. And someone tried to stop Shaytan, but Shaytan pushed that person and revealed his true identity. As recorded in the Qur'an, it says, and remember, when Shaytan made their deeds pleasing to them and said, no one can defeat you today from amongst the people. And indeed, I am your protector. This verse is saying, remember when Shaytan promised them that they are going to win, is going to protect them. That is what Allah is saying in this verse. Allah said, and remember when Shaytan made their deeds pleasing to them and said, no one can defeat you today amongst the people. And indeed, I am your protector. But when the two armies faced each other, it turned its back around and said, indeed, I am dissociated from you. Indeed, I see what you do not see. Indeed, I fear Allah, and Allah is severe in punishment. And that is Quran chapter 8, verse 48. When it says, indeed, I see what you do not see, Shaytan is telling them, I can see the angels, you cannot see them, and I fear Allah, and Allah is severe in punishment. Now, a short quote here. If Shaytan fears Allah, that is the greatest enemy of human, Shaytan, who people run to seek power. Now imagine if Shaytan visibly agreed that he fears Allah. What makes you think you shouldn't fear him? And that is just on the side. Now, let's talk about the size of the Quraysh army. In Musnad Imam Ahmad, Ibn Ishaq said that there were 1,300 people. Abu Jahl was the undisputed main leader. They had over 100 horses, over 600 suits of armor, and probably around 500 camels, not only to ride on, but also to use as food. And it is said that every day they slaughtered 10 camels. They even brought along their qainats, their singing girls, to boost their morale, like a type of cheerleaders. And Allah mentions in the Quran, don't be like those pagans who exited their homes arrogantly only to show off to people and to block others from the path of Allah. And Allah is fully aware of what they do. So Allah describes their psychological frame or state of mind. When they were walking out, they were feeling puffed up. They wanted people to hear that they were 1,300 strong, the largest army that the Arabs had ever seen up until that moment. So they wanted to block others from the path of Allah, but rather Allah had surrounded all of them. They thought they were blocking Allah's path. Little did they realize Allah had blocked them. So there are three things going on now. To reminisce all these things together. The first thing is that Abu Sufyan and his caravan, they tilted away from Medina, taking the Red Sea side. And then the Quraysh army, they're actually coming from Mecca because they received the message from Damdam that Abu Sufyan is in trouble. The third thing is the Muslim army. They just left Medina, journeying to Badr. Now, let's quickly make an update on Abu Sufyan's caravan and the Quraysh army generally, so we can synchronize these two together. Now, back to Abu Sufyan. Remember, we said he did two things. One, he sent Damdam to go inform them in Mecca to come protect their caravan. And two, he took an entirely different route with a guide who steered their movement away from the Muslim army. Now, once Abu Sufyan felt that the caravan was safe and beyond the reach of the Muslims, he sent someone else to tell the Quraysh that his caravan is now safe and that they can go back home.
The caravan is safe now. Ride to the army. Tell them to return to Mecca.
Now notice, Abu Sufyan didn't want war. He said, go tell the army to return.
Abu Sufyan says the caravan is safe.
Once the person met the army, they reconvened to decide what to do. And Utbah said, let's go back. You know, Utbah has been saying they shouldn't fight in the first place. So Utbah just said, let's go back. The caravan is safe.
No! We will go to Badr. And we will stay there for 3 days. And all of Arabia will know that Quraysh is a nation to be feared.
But then Abu Jahl said, no. We will go to Badr. We will stay there for 3 days, drink our wine, have our women sing for us, and let the news spread in all of Arabia that we are a nation to be feared. And notice here, there is still no talk of war. The whole purpose of the army was to protect the caravan, and then to show off to boast that nobody can attack them. They went to the battlefield just drinking and singing and eating for 3 days, and the prophet did not dare to attack them. That is what they wanted to create. So even though Abu Jahl said to carry on, around 300 to 350 people, consisting of Banu Zuhra and other small tribes, returned back to Mecca. So around 1/4 of the army went back, and this was obviously demoralizing. So the Quraysh was differing amongst themselves. And as we will come to, we will see that Muslims as well was differing amongst themselves. So both parties didn't want to go to war, but Allah has already decreed the battle will take place, and no one can escape from the qadar of Allah Azza wa Jalla. So Allah mentions in Surah Al-Anfal, even if the two armies had made an appointment to meet, both would have certainly missed it. Still, it transpired so that Allah may establish what He did destined, that those who were to perish and those who were to survive might do so after the truth had been made clear to both. Now, when the Quraysh army, when they reached a place called Juhfa, most likely before the convoy of Abu Sufyan reached them, one of the youngest men from the Banu Hashim, who is like a son of the cousin of the Prophet, who was in the Quraysh army, he saw a dream. He saw in his dream that a crier who had a camel with him riding towards them and announced,
Utbah ibn Rabi'ah has been killed!
Utbah ibn Rabi'ah has been killed. Shayba ibn Rabi'ah has been killed. Abu al-Hakam ibn Isham Abu Jahl has been killed. Umayyah ibn Khalaf has been killed. And he kept on mentioning every single famous name of the Quraysh, and said, they all have been killed. And then the young man said, the crier caught the hump of the camel and sent the camel forward, and the camel went into their encampment, and its blood splattered on every single tent. The interpretation of the dream is very obvious. It means not only are the mentioned people going to be killed, but every single tent will have casualties. But the army ignored this dream and considered it to be a meaningless dream. Little did they realize it was a true dream,